The coronavirus pandemic and its impact on our everyday lives informs all of our Insider Public Affairs programs now. Hello, I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome to The Insider. Welcome to you, our viewers, and to our listeners on the radio as well. We continue today with our somewhat COVID-19 focused editions of our program. Today it's all about police recruiting in the city of Erie at what was already a challenging time for police in the street because of the virus, but now challenging in a very different way after a riot in the city, anger and questions about racial inequity, and calls for changes in policing. My guests today are Mayor Joe Schember's Community Liaison, Michael Outlaw, and Erie Police Sergeant Tom Lennox, who coordinates police recruiting and the Police Athletic Program, PAL. Sergeant Lennox will be joining us a little bit later on because of social distancing. So our topic we planned for this day a long time ago, before the riot happened and the demonstrations, was police recruiting, but it has been kind of a tumultuous couple of weeks. Michael, reflect on what a challenging time it's been for the city, especially after that protest turned to a riot. Okay,
well, Lisa, one, thanks for having me on today. I greatly appreciate, having an opportunity to speak to the community. But like you alluded to, the times have been challenging for the city. The riots, civil disobedience, the unrest. But we are positioned for change. We are remaining committed to the change, and we will just continue to have discussions that leads to the efforts that will build true community policing.
The mayor and the police chief are continuing to take some criticism, even though the officer seen kicking the young woman during the riot that night has been disciplined. We have a little bit of video of how things kind of deteriorated that night, as well as that moment with the kick. The attorney also for Hannah Silbaugh very unhappy with the language used to describe or justify the action, at the same time calling it inappropriate and disgusting, but also they're not happy with the discipline. So how hard has it been for you and the mayor after all that you've been working on over the last couple of years?
It's presented its own set of challenges. We're not going to shy away from the challenges, but it's a team effort. It's not a us versus them narrative. This is a better together endeavor that we're embarking upon since the mayor's been in office. And again, we're going to continue to work, through the SPCP program, the Better Together Council, to address these issues that's, impacting our city and the nation.
Talk again about what happened with the one officer. The night before we're recording here, there was another protest, this one in Frontier Park and going past the mayor's house. Talk about the disciplinary action. Was it the right action? And, is it going to be harder to recruit police at this moment in time in our city?
Mm-hmm. I support the mayor's decision. I trust his leadership. He's a man that has a heart of the city. You can't please everyone, but I stand in full support of the mayor and the Erie Police Department and Chief Dan and his command staff. We know there's challenges in recruiting, individuals from the minority community to become a police officer, but as a nation, as a people, whenever there's challenges, we see it as opportunities to continue to move forward and press forward to bring this community together. Because honestly, Lisa, it's not about us, it's about the future generations, that's going to inherit Erie. So that's our focus. And is there work to be done? Yes, but we are committed to the process.
Was there ever any consideration of that individual police officer coming forward, saying who he is and just apologizing to Hannah, or is that too hard to do in the midst of litigation or possible litigation?
Yeah, I'm not a legal expert by no means, but I know the legal process is still underway, so I'm not comfortable with speaking about certain dynamics of that process. Again, I just trust in the mayor's leadership and his decision and support that decision.
So you mentioned the strengthening police and community partnerships. This was really an effort that brought together many segments of the community to talk through the hard issues. And this has been a couple of years. You came up with some recommendations. You also mentioned the People's Supper, a chance for people of diversity to sit around some tables and talk. So Right now, it seems like there's some critics saying, yeah, that was a lot of talk, nothing really happened. So give us your take on that. Has there been progress in your view in police-community relationships? And, do you think you've made a difference with those two initiatives?
Yes and yes, but don't take my word for it. I would encourage individuals to reach out to Ken Nixon, reach out to the students who partook in the Trust Building Series at Strong Vincent, at Wilson Middle School, at the Academic Success Center, Collegiate Academy, Erie High, the Charter School of Excellence. Ask those students. We engage with, I would say, over 100 students, and asking them firsthand, what do they believe it's going to take to strengthen police and community relations? They had honest, candid conversations with us, and we believe, again, that we have started to make progress in bridging that trust within the community.
So do you think it's going to be harder to attract police in this climate, and maybe is this a moment where more people of color, more black and brown individuals in our community will say, I want to get on the police force and make a difference? I mean, is this going to work for you or against you, this cultural moment that we're facing?
I honestly, wholeheartedly believe it's going to work in our favor. People should see this moment as a chance to answer the call, to get involved, to become a police officer. It's oftentimes we can stand on the outside and point the fingers at the system, but what better way to bring about change than being a part of the system, being a part of the process? And the applications, the deadline is July 10th, so people still have an opportunity to come out and apply.
Well, the mayor has been focused for quite some time, really since he got into office, when he was running for office, on creating a more diverse police force. So we're going to talk about who you're looking for, what kind of attitude is required when we come back. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back to The Insider, both on the air and on the radio. Today we are talking about Erie Police recruiting at what is a challenging moment for our city and for the Erie Police Department. Again, my guests are Mayor Schembers Community Liaison Michael Outlaw and Erie Police Sergeant Tom Lennox, who coordinates PAL and recruiting for the department. He's going to be along for the second half of our program. But Michael, thanks for being here. So the mayor has made it a key focus of his administration to really work on the diversity issue citywide, but wanting to have a more diverse police force. So what type of person are you looking for? Who does it take, and what attitude does it take to do this work?
We're looking for individuals that has a heart and passion to serve and protect Erie's rich ethnic community. We're looking for people who wants to get involved and see true reflection within the police department. Our focus, we're looking for minority veterans, we're looking for members from the Latino community, Latinx community, New American community, LGBTQ plus community, just different walks of life. Again, Lisa, we want people with the heart and passion to really serve and want to see the change in the police department in our community.
What about the military background piece of it? We've heard criticism of that in recent days and conversations across the country. People saying police are too militaristic, certainly looking at the police, facing down demonstrators in their riot gear or having tanks. And so is the military piece of it, that's something that you give points to when someone applies. Is that a right approach? And what benefit has it been, in your view, to have people with that military background coming on the force here in Erie?
So one of the benefits, several benefits, is one, the military veterans, they are awarded 10 points, 10 additional points to the overall civil service score. And military veterans, they come with discipline. They understand how to follow orders, instruction. They have a strong work ethic, ethnic background, and they will come on the job ready to protect and serve the community.
But what do you say of the criticism that's part of the problem, or that they're too making police forces too militaristic? Is that a fair criticism or not?
I think it's a criticism that we have heard in times past, but we trust the process within the Erie Police Department. Every officer must go through or undertake a psychological exam before he or she becomes a police officer. So we trust the process, that it kind of weeds out individuals who may not be a good fit for the job. So there's parameters established to address those concerns that we're hearing from the community and have heard from the community.
This new diversity and sensitivity training for the officer that kicked the young lady, or all the people on the force, or new recruits that will be coming on, how will it be different from the diversity training that's been ongoing? I know Paris Baker from Gannon University had been doing it, shifting now to Mercyhurst University. Will that training be different in light of what's going on nationwide right now?
Honestly, Lisa, I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that Dr. Reverend McCarthy, I believe is his name, he kind of provided, some outline and topics of discussion. But again, I don't know enough about the process, but I'm sure I can find out and get back to you.
But he's already been serving the professor who's taking this over, both an ethicist and ordained pastor, religious studies professor at Mercyhurst, Dr. Rich McCarty. Mm-hmm. He has already been serving on the mayor's LGBTQ plus council rather.
I believe he's a part of the process. I do know, during the last conference call we had with the LGBTQ plus council, he was on that call. And he was, the entire council is committed to stand with the mayor's administration and to continue to move the conversation forward, continue to bring about the necessary change that we all know that should happen.
But Tyler Titus, who was heading that council, made a choice to step down. Was that challenging for the mayor's administration? Here's a person asked by the mayor to help with this problem. Now when you're at kind of a watershed moment, walking away, what does that mean? What did that signal?
It signaled that the people, the individuals who's serving already on the LGBTQ plus council, their leadership should be applauded. The individuals stepped right up to the plate and said, listen, we'll fill in, we still stand with you. They actually joined, some of them actually joined in the kneeling in front of City Hall with the mayor a couple weeks ago or last week. So it reflected leadership and understanding that challenges shouldn't cause us to shy away, but re-engage and get creative and adapt to our process.
Last quick question here for you. We've understood that COVID-19 hits hard in communities of color. Our area here included, I know it's over 30% here of the people who've been infected with the virus are people of color. And certainly this is a danger to people on the front line doing police work as well. So how do you think those things might impact recruiting? Are people feeling like this work might be too dangerous at this moment in time?
It's a call. It's not a call for everyone, but nonetheless, it's a call. And if those individuals feel pressed in their spirit, and moved to protect and serve, we encourage them to come out. There's, the Erie Police Department, they have parameters in place, safety procedures in place to make sure the frontline officers are protected in doing their daily responsibilities. But nonetheless, it's all about adapting, Lisa, and just making sure that we protect the community from this COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, Michael Outlaw, thank you so much for being with us. Sergeant Tom Lennox, who coordinates the recruiting, is going to join us next with how to attract more diverse candidates and if it might be easier or more difficult after all that's going on. Stay with us. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back to The Insider. Again, we're talking about Erie Police recruiting at what is a challenging moment for our city and the Erie Police Department. My guest, as you can see for the remainder of the program, Erie Police Sergeant Tom Lennox, who coordinates recruiting for the department, as well as PAL, the Police Athletic League. So I have to ask you right off, do police feel a little bit unappreciated right now at this moment in time? You're taking a lot of criticism.
Yeah, I don't think it's just going on in the city of Erie Police Department where I would probably deem the word unappreciated as much as it's extremely unfortunate that the public, not only in Erie, but maybe across the country, that We don't focus a lot on the numerous progressions that we've made as a department, and so feeling unappreciated, no. Feeling that we're living in unfortunate circumstances right now, I would say yes, and it is hard on us mentally, considering that, you know, especially with the last few years, I know that the Erie Police Department has taken significant strides with the community leaders and the youth in our community to try to instill and change mindsets from a community standpoint, in addition to us as police officers working in the community.
I'm sure when many officers see, you know, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, see what happened with Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta, you know, police have been saying that's upsetting to them to see.
Well, you know, and I know that I've commented within the last couple of weeks on the Minnesota incident. Again, another extremely unfortunate situation. I know from a department standpoint, and all my fellow officers getting through, it was very tough to get through the 2 minutes of the video, let alone well over 8 minutes. So as far as the solidarity of agreement of how we felt during that situation in Minnesota, we all agree that was unjust and unfortunate, and we stand with the community that should have never happened. So with that being said, part of that unfortunate situation, you know, it's automatically assumed that the majority of our law enforcement officers around the country, and more specifically in our city, got blanketed, you know, as being the officers that would be officers that could potentially do something like that. So it's just an unfortunate situation.
So how does that work for what you're trying to do in your recruiting role now at this point in time? Is it going to help attract more diverse candidates? I mean, you recently told me for a regular news story that it's a long-term project to change the complexion of the department.
Yeah, when I say it's a long-term process, what I mean is, you know, the recruiting process and the process in itself, it doesn't start when a potential candidate turns age 21. I mean, let's face it, if we're going to really change the diversity in our department, you know, that recruiting process has to start at the age of 10, which, you know, that gives us the opportunity as police officers, in addition to the youth in our community, the opportunity to get to know what law enforcement really is, get to know that there's a sense of honor, a sense of nobility, a sense of, you know, to protect and serve our community, to, you know, instill in these children at a young age that there isn't much that separates us from law enforcement to maybe some of the obstacles and challenges that our youth are facing in the community today. So when I say that recruiting is a long process, it starts with changing mindsets you know, at a young age with these kids, and it also changes the mindsets of us officers too, to understand the many obstacles and challenges, you know, that they're dealing with, so that, you know, that is a long process.
Well, let me jump in and ask if your own skin color helps in this process. I mean, what obstacles do you see to attracting black or brown officers, or diversity in the force? It's only at about 5% now, is that right?
Yes, correct. You know, with regards to my skin color, I mean, I think it's very important if we are recruiting in the minority community, that's very important for the youth to actually look at an African American officer or an officer of different culture and basically use that as a source of motivation, that it is a possibility, that it is, you know, even with the many challenges and obstacles that any officer faces, you know, when they see an officer of color, you know, I firmly believe it instills hope that there is a possibility that they can do the same things as other minority officers can do. And not just minority officers, but any officer that has made that commitment to protect and serve in a community.
So you talked about building relationships with people as young as 10 years old in terms of their attitudes about policing. So what about the Police Athletic League and the things that you've done to reach out to the community? Do you think that's working?
Absolutely. You know, I kind of equate that, you know, through the years, and I think it's common for every department across the country. Everybody's looking for the quick Band-Aid to put on a severe laceration. You know, with regards to one of the benefits of the Police Athletic League is it's something that establishes continuity early, and it involves consistency throughout that whole process, not only from a recruiting standpoint, but also, you know, again, to reinforce some of those, you know, relationships between the two that.
When you're not in a policing situation.
Absolutely.
So they see you as people.
Absolutely, and I want to elaborate that, you know, you know, it's not just us learning, it's not just them learning from us. You know, I think it's very important for our officers to understand, okay, that that's an important component for our guys to actually see the kids and the families of our community, that we're learning from them too. Our guys are learning from the community, which instills good police work when these officers are going back into the communities and serving.
Understood. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about exactly what it takes to apply to be an Erie police officer. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking about police recruiting with Sergeant Tom Lennox, trying to get a more diverse police force. So what does applying, taking the test, what does that all entail? And the deadlines are coming up quickly here, correct?
Yes, correct. Anybody that's interested in becoming a City of Erie police candidate, what they need to do is go on our city website, city government website. You have till July 10th to fill out the application. Once that application is filled out, you'll shortly after that, you'll receive the study material, which will in turn help you prepare for the written component of the test. The actual test itself is scheduled for August 1st, and that day there will be a physical agility test in addition to the written exam on the same day.
Last minute here, but I just want to ask you, you've seen some change, some diversity added to the department during your career. In short, how does it inform conversations inside the police department and maybe make a difference in the community, in your hopes?
Well, you know, again, you know, the more diversity and the more that we start making our department more reflective of what the community looks like, I think it's a lot easier to sit down and have those conversations with those officers, not only with the community needs from a community standpoint, but a lot of it, you know, sometimes personal experience with increasing diversity is going to add a lot of influence and questions and possibly solution-based solutions to the problems that we're having in our urban environment.
Good conversations between the officers themselves. Well, thanks so much to Sergeant Lennox and to Michael Outlaw, both of you, for being with us on this important topic. And as always, thank you for joining us. If you have an idea you'd like me to explore on The Insider, just email me at ladams@wicu12.com and join us again next time for The Insider.